You know, when Jesus walked around, he would often say, good news. I have good news for you. In fact, the New Testament, if you read it well, the entire Bible is a story of good news. The way it's been translated out of the Greek that it was written in, we often use the word gospel. It means good news, but it's a specific type of good news that would communicate a context to the people of that time in a way that it doesn't necessarily do for us as people of our day when we just read the Bible. You see, good news, or the sense of gospel that we see in the New Testament, is actually to do with military victory. It's to do with a context in a part of a bigger story. It's to do, the best way I can describe it is by talking to you about my friend from Cambodia, Noit. Noit is married to Steve, and some of you have met her when she's come to our church. They lead an incredible ministry in Cambodia. But the truth is that anyone older than me in Cambodia who is still alive is the survivor of an incredible genocide that took place at the end of the 1970s under the Pol Pot Khmer Rouge regime. She was 10 when she was forced to march from Phnom Penh, displaced from her family and put into forced labor work camps. Hers was in the northwest of the country. For 4 years, she worked hard day and afternoon in very manual kind of work. The Khmer Rouge weren't really concerned whether people lived or died, but they thought that while they were living, they better make them useful and put them to work. About a dozen people would live on half a cup of rice a day, and it really was a survival game for anyone. Noit had lived through this for almost 4 years. She was 13 when one day she was working in the field with her friends or workmates, and they heard the sound of trucks coming up the road. They hadn't heard the sound of trucks for almost 4 years. And so they ran up to the side of the road and hid in the bushes to watch them come past. And of course, 13-year-olds trying to hide in the bushes was probably pretty obvious. And so the soldiers that were driving these trucks stopped and they called out to them in the bushes. For the sake of our context, we know that they were Vietnamese soldiers, and they had just liberated the city of Phnom Penh and were bringing their forces up and out into the country. They simply said to them, come out from the bushes. Good news, you're free. You can go home now. And that began a walk with Noit and some of her friends back towards Phnom Penh, displaced from family, still as hungry as they were from the beginning, still no shoes on their feet, and still a month's walk away to get back to where home used to be. But good news in the sense that there's hope for the future. We've just been liberated by a military. We now have a different political regime that we're living under, and in one moment, everything's changed and nothing's changed. That is the way that the gospel is presented in the New Testament. It's good news that has context about a military victory, a governmental change. Hey, you've been in captivity. The evil ones reigned too long. Good news. Jesus has won the victory. You're free. You can go home now. You can go back to where you originally intended.